Welcome back to The Perspective. Minister Bussemaker, according to Nafiknet, so Indonesia, there are currently about 14 programs to the Netherlands, may that be on programs, exchanges, or scholarships. Is there any plan to increase or to deepen this collaboration between?
They're both to increase and to deepen at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's what we talked about this morning, and thereafter. When the ministers had to leave, there still was a joint working group with representatives from Indonesian universities, and research institutes, and also their Dutch counterparts, to make next steps in intensifying and deepening the relationship. And one of the things I said this morning is there is so much to be done, that we also have to be, in a way, we have to be selective, because we cannot do everything at the same time.
Right.
So it's maybe better to deepen than only to broaden.
Right.
So in a couple of fields where we say we really want to have more research cooperation, and I think agriculture is one example,
sector,
and also medical science is another example. We have to find a structure to deepen the relationships and to foster the science cooperation.
Now, the Jokowi administration has been trying to push equality in terms of education access for Indonesian, but he wants to work towards the rural areas, so that children from the areas have the same access to education in the country. He has the Indonesian smart card, and which is duplicated by the capital Jakarta smart card. We are a country of 250 million people scattered around a vast archipelago. What are the challenges here in your view, aside from access to education in Indonesia, and making sure that we have equality there, in your perspective?
Oh wow, that's a difficult question, because I see that first, I think your president, Widodo, I totally agree with him, because access to education, it's really the main road for emancipation. And that's in the Netherlands, that is in Indonesia, and I think that's worldwide.
Yeah.
So good education and access also to further education, it's very, very important. It's difficult for me to say something about Indonesia, because compared to Indonesia, I come from a small country, and also a densely populated country, where you do not have these distances
Correct.
You are faced with. But one of the ways is by using digitalization. That's one of the ways to make it more easy also to do distance learning. Although, finally, if you really want to have good education, you need teachers close to the pupils.
The educators.
Must have eye contact. But in addition, online education might be helpful for deepening the level of information.
Now, I think Jokowi, what he's doing at the moment is trying to make sure by 2019 that Indonesia is covered, connected through the Palapa broadband project by 2019. But you mentioned about educators, the quality of teachers. This is where Indonesia, admittedly, that we are weak in. Is there any discussion and any MOU between Indonesia and the Netherlands to develop the capacity of teachers here in Indonesia, or teacher program exchanges for teachers, for instance?
We did not sign an MOU, but I think this is an extremely important issue, because if you want to have good education, you should start with having good teachers, and that means that you need to have very good teaching arrangements and teaching schools. In the cooperation and also exchange of students, it might be very helpful if students, if they want to learn something in the Netherlands, of course they can. But it's not an issue of MOU, but maybe that's also because teacher training facilities and the educational systems are quite different. So then it's difficult to find the way to find common ground to work on. But maybe we, as I said, we now made some next steps. And maybe
but this is one of the sectors that Indonesia can look after the Netherlands and perhaps for...
I'm very much willing to see where I can be helpful.
For cooperation and assistance from the Netherlands. A few last questions. So where do you see our cooperation coming in the next 5 years, Minister?
I hope that our cooperation will become more concrete and will deepen, as I already said, and that we have much more exchange of students, but also of fellows and PhD students in the next years, and that at some special issues, maybe agriculture, water management, creative industry, that we have found not only the common ground, but that we really made steps in all these levels of education. Since it's my conviction that you need all these levels to build a good future. And I think there is so much possibilities. So I'm quite optimistic about the next steps we can make in the near future.
Great. One last question. What do you think the quick wins Indonesia can gather from the Netherlands in terms of trying to develop or lay a stronger foundation for its education of the new system, the era where we rely on vocational, more practical learnings?
To try to improve the collaboration between schools and the private sector. So, you know, now you have a school here and then you have the private sector over there.
Right.
But why not ask and stimulate students to work in the private sector already?
Right.
So learning by doing. And also for the employees in the private sector, go back sometimes to school in the perspective of lifelong learning.
Right.
So we have to overcome all these institutional barriers.
Right.
Learning in the future is something you can do everywhere, and not only the school is a place to learn. The street, the factory, the hospital,
right.
The library are all places to learn, and we have to find a way to facilitate that. And I think if you can make steps in stimulating that, also students will become very motivated in learning because they like it.
Yeah.
Then they understand why they have to learn special aspects.
Minister Bussemaker, thank you so much for joining us on The Perspective. Share with us your visit here in Indonesia, and we look forward to talking to you again very soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. That has been The Perspective with the Netherlands Minister of Education, Culture and Science, Mariette Bussemaker, right here in Jakarta. Thank you for watching.